Hello and welcome back to my channel, and we rejoin our solo RuneQuest Classic Edition campaign. I had such fun the other night playing through the first interactive sessions that I decided I must carry on, so I'm going to get another one under my belt before the weekend is out. We had left the characters a bit at high tide. They had basically failed in their interaction with a local sage, and our barbarian character Alvar had followed his instincts and had gone recklessly over within a swaggering manner to the sage. The sage had taken a bit of a dislike. Maybe he doesn't really like barbarians striding up towards him. The sage, by the name of Beristar the Learned, he had basically snubbed Ulvar, who returned to the characters with his tail between his legs. So that's where we stand just now. So all is not lost, because we've got other characters in our group who could maybe remedy the situation and maybe take another approach. But let's just see where we are just now, and I thought I'd take the opportunity of summarizing just on one piece of paper just exactly what we know about the settlement just now, and also just to have a template that I can fill out once we've learned any other details. So basically the purpose of these initial sessions is to, in an interactive manner with our characters, play out some little mini scenarios, but with the objective of finding out some details about the town, about who runs it, maybe feel out some prominent NPCs that we might have dealings with in the future, and also as a spin-off, if there are any rumors or any tantalizing nuggets of information that we can use for future adventure fuel. That's kind of what I'm after. So we've already made quite a strong start. I would say that what we know about the town, Dorowaith, that is its name. It's the Borderlands major settlement and trade centre. What we know about its allegiances is independent and currently non-aligned with any other city-state. That's been stated by a few people. The population we have ascertained is 1800. The summary overview is a steadfast community on the defensive, is under threat and feeling the pressure of external forces. However, communal bonds are strong and there's a resolute population. Its history, which we got a broad brush introduction to from the storyteller, the anonymous storyteller. Maybe his name will be revealed later. It's an ancient stone settlement built on the ruins of a long deserted citadel. There is a strong undercurrent of mystery and forgotten lore regarding their ancestors and their origins. So there's a bit of mystery about it. It's an ancient site. It has been almost recycled by the people that came to settle. Probably this was the ruins. Any ruins that are in the Great Vale probably date back to 500 years ago, when the precursor civilization fell, and they had a higher level of civilization, and this one that is coming up just now is not of the same level, although the Hellenic Empire would always say that it was better. It's better and newer and shinier, but that's the Hellenic way. The resident sages, so there are quite a few sages, and this Beristar the Learned is one of their order. They have a guild. The resident sages are grappling with these arcane secrets. What we know about the surrounding region, the Borderlands has a few other much smaller townships and villages, and these are peopled by the same stock as Dorwaith. Nominally independent, they look to Dorwaith for leadership. Outside civilization, I quote, air quotes, there are independent hill tribes, some plains people on the fringes, and an elder region of mystical forests and mountains. Now, this would probably just be all common knowledge that the characters would have coming from the wider world. They do have some basic knowledge of what the Borderlands is all about. They know that it is populated by some pretty rugged, individualistic type of frontier people. They live in, and the major town is Dorwaith. They have share this region with some independent hill tribes. There are some plains people. People like Serrano would probably understand where they're coming from. And also there's an elder region of mystical forests and mountains. So there is embedded in the Borderlands a tantalizing place that is populated by creatures held within our RuneQuest book. So that's quite exciting. And if Austin was about and he actually got his finger out and came from where he was just now, he might be able to give us a bit of a heads up on the type of people that live there. But he might not know either. Remember, dwarves, they don't really like coming out of their caves, out of their holes. They don't really like the sunlight. It's maybe they have to fit on factor 50 when they go outside. He might not be too attuned to the elder region, the mystical forests. However, the mountains are his preserves, so he might know all about it. He'd probably say, "Oh, there's trolls in those hills. Stay away." Not nice. And we also know about our tavern and inn. The Axe Anvil is the prominent way house. Its renowned reputation as a welcoming retreat for travellers and adventurers. Under the firm stewardship of Breck Stonehand, and we formed a friendship with Breck during the evening. We have a solid ally so far in the Axe and Anvil. So I would say let's get cracking on with the adventure and carrying on with the situation. So let's see what we're going to do first. So I've got a little note here. Let's try to re-engage with Berestar, and what we can do is roll reaction and apply modifiers based on oratory success or failure. So Ulvar comes back. He said, "Look, I had a chat with this old guy. He just seemed to be in quite a bad mood. I didn't really go down too well." And the rest of the characters are sort of raising their eyebrows a bit. And then Barntar says, well, why don't I give it a shot with our leader, Serrana, because we might be able to try go over. And I can show him that I'm a nobleman. I come from good stock. And maybe he's got a bit of a beef with barbarians. He's not too keen on them. I'm sure with my credentials and my noble manner, it will go down an absolute treat. So that is what happens. Barntar and Serrana, they head over to Berestar. He looks up and he says, "Oh, what is it now?" And Serrana immediately goes in and says, Could you hear us out? We couldn't help but notice that you were sitting in the corner, and by your appearance, by your stature, by obviously the aura that you're giving off, you seem to be a very learned man. You look as though you're very well educated, and we seek knowledge. We are disciples of knowledge. And she's really trying to kind of not ingratiate herself, but really trying to wow him up a bit and soften him up. So let's roll a reaction, and we'll apply modifiers based on oratory success or failure. So we've got Serrana, and she's got an oratory of 25%. And this was an interesting thing because I, as part of her previous experience, she was entitled to higher oratory, so I gave her that. And as soon as you get to 25%, you trigger a charisma increase. So that's why her charisma's gone up to 15. So she's done really quite well out of that process. And I think also I had the same story with Alvar. His charisma's gone up to 12 from 11 because he's got oratory. It seems to be a barbarian thing. I suppose they're used to this skaldic kind of bardic tradition, very the oral tradition, and they like that kind of the bit of the thing I was doing trying to do yesterday with the bardic stuff. That's right up their street. So it's part of their cultural tradition. So let's give Serana a chance. If she can get a roll, we're going to have a positive modifier to the percentage. So we'll get our percentage out. She needs a 25% to sway Berestar. Let's see if the nut can be cracked. So no, it's not a very good roll, 73. So I would say that her initial advances to Berestar maybe fall on deaf ears a bit. Let's see whether his reaction is anything that kind of can potentially assuage the situation and modify it down. So we'll get our little response charts out, and I would say that anything that's positive is going to be he's okay, and he might tolerate our presence. But anything other, he's gonna send us packing, like he sent Ulvar. So we get a 59. So that is positive. I would say, okay, well, why don't you sit down and tell me what you want to know about this place. He does seem a bit irritated. He is warming a bit to Serana. He's looking over at Barntar, and he doesn't quite work out. And he says, I would be interested to find out maybe some more details about yourselves. You seem to be from the nomadic tribes, Serana. What about you, Barntar? You seem to be from civilized climes. Well attired, and Barntar waxes lyrical about the fact that he's from a noble family from one of the city-states that has been conquered, and that really kind of switches Berestar on. So I would say let's do another reaction roll, and we'll give a plus, maybe a plus 20 to the roll. So we get a 76. It's not fantastic. I would say he's still quite neutral to us. However, he is willing to listen to what we want. So we say, look, can you give us maybe a bit more information about this town? We've already heard from the storyteller, and he says that it stands on this ruin, this ruin site. And Berestar says, yes, no, he was right. And in fact, one of the reasons I am here is I am part of our Sages Guild, and we have been brought in and beefed up our function to investigate some of the things, some of the artifacts, and some of the ruins that still retained in the settlement. Not all the stone was taken away and recycled and used in the buildings. There are some actual ruins as well. So we're very interested in looking at those and finding whether there are any features. So they're almost like amateur archaeologists and kind of ruin investigators, and they're trying to put together some bits and pieces. Certainly from a sage point of view, they don't really seem to have a profit motive or anything like that. They're interested in the magic side. They're really just coming out from the lore side. And he said, yeah, we do have quite a mystical background. And he's willing to give a bit more information. So we'll go to the more information slot. And he said the Selenic Empire might be interested in the town as well, not just for its position, but for the secrets hidden beneath it. And we have a feeling, we are worried that the Chaos War could awaken ancient dormant evils connected to the Forgotten Ruins. Ooh. So he says, I am myself are quite concerned about this. I am trying to, highlight it to the town's government, that they must be on their guard. If there are any interlopers, they must be questioned. If there are any pieces of or any artifacts that have been discovered, we must be made aware of it, and appraise it in the scheme of all the things that we have discovered so far. So the characters, Serana and Barntar, think, well, we're actually onto quite an interesting line of inquiry here. And they do feel that there's potentially more things that they can ask Beristar. And Beristar seems to be warming up, because we ask, do you want something to drink? And he says, yes, I do quite like some of the wine that they've got here. If you maybe get me a jug, I can maybe tell you some more things that I know. And he does seem to be warming up. So let's do. I think I'm going to do a charisma roll for Serana, and see whether she can win him over like she did Breck, and see if Beristar can just be kind of. I'll say that if it has to be quite a strong pass for her to have, because Beristar isn't. He's an intelligent. He's beyond all this kind of charm type stuff. He's interested from an intellectual point of view. So he might not, in fact, flattery might actually go the wrong way. So I would say that that's her charisma's 15. So that's under half. I would say yes. I think that we've got past the initial Ulvar poor reaction, and Beristar is he's on the team. He's with us. So he comes up with, he says, well, actually, now that we're talking, and I feel comfortable speaking to you about these things, and actually I'm finding talking these things out with strangers, with people that I've met, I'm finding it's clarifying my thinking as well. So, it's a win-win situation here. He goes on about the further details. And he says, well, peculiar architectural features, strange relics, or even magical phenomena might still lie hidden beneath its streets or in the nearby wilderness. Right, so we've got some potential things, some ruins, some stuff in the nearby wilderness, places of mystery, magical artifacts, all the good stuff of adventure. It could be here, it could be right under our feet, or maybe we've got to go 20-30 miles out into the borderlands. But we seem to have come to a town that, because of its location, it's been built on an ancient settlement, there is already a kind of inbuilt infrastructure for adventure right on our doorstep. The current government might have traces of this. This is the bit that he really kind of comes to last, and he says, "Well, this is just a theory and whatever." And he does seem to be kind of warming to us, because he's on about his third glass of wine, and he's saying, "I'm having an absolute fantastic evening. You're such charming company. It really is, and it's so nice to hear about the other cities and how they are sticking up for their own rights and under this empire." He doesn't really seem to be into the empire. So the current government might have traces of a former, more ritualistic authority, perhaps a theocracy, and some cults might have unusual practices tied to the site's past. So, to cut a long story short, I've got all this information now. It is in the domain of the characters. They have taken it down in their notebook. We disengage with Beristar. We say that this has been a fantastic meeting. Are you in the Axe Anvil often? And he says, yes, I do pop in now and again. But he says, well, because we've gone on so well, and you obviously seem to have a thirst for knowledge, you're very welcome to come round to our guild house in the town centre. That is my abode. I stay there with some other sages. Come up and see me sometime. Guys, come round when you are settled in, and maybe we could talk about things that we could arrange for you to maybe assist us with in our pursuit of knowledge. So potentially an employment in wresting some of these artifacts and relics. Okay, so characters, they leave Berestar. We leave on good terms. We come back to our table. Serana and Barntar say, wait till you hear what we have just been talking about this with this sage, Berestar. And they relate all this stuff, probably gets a bit of Chinese whispers, and they've got all sorts of strange things going on, and being blown slightly out of proportion. But in summary, this site has got potential for adventure and also potential employment. So, good start. And I've got Berestar knows a great deal, and he's a formidable scholar, so he will hint at what he believes to be mere rumour. So he did say that might be the rumour bit. The current government might have traces of a former, more ritualistic authority. Maybe some force is coming from beyond the grave and saying, you've got to all act like a theocracy because of the previous people. So that is that little stage of the episode over. So we can move on to my next one. And it is so. While moving around the tavern, the characters get sidetracked by a drunken patron who spills his drink on an individual character. So it's getting towards the middle of the evening. The characters have been having a great time. They've had some food. It's a delicious meal that Brick and his staff provided. They're just finishing, and they're going to attending to their toilet and all that type of good stuff. And as they're coming back, this drunk individual, who's obviously had far too much, comes and spills his drink all over one of our characters. So we'll do a D4, and we'll have Barntar, Uvar, Serana, and Varlon as our. And I have to find my D4. There we go. So who's it going to be? Who does he spill his drink all over? It's 2, so that is, Uvar. Okay, maybe not the type of person to spill your drink on. So, this rather scruffy, he's probably a bit of an inebriated artisan. He just stumbles into Uvar, and the drink goes flying, goes all over Uvar. We have to basically make a reaction roll to see how this develops, and we'll impose a negative DM. So it could get nasty. So let's see what we get. So let's do a negative DM of minus 15 to this. So that is a 92. Okay, so minus 15 is that's 80, 70, 77. So let's see what 77 is. 77 is, it just goes in. The encounter creatures are unsure and will stall for time or something significant or telling to occur. So they're almost like, they're almost frozen in kind of, they're almost, Uvar doesn't know quite what to do. He's staring down this artisan. The artisan is looking kind of sheepish, but he's got a bit of Dutch courage, and he's thinking, the clumsy barbarian, and it's starting to get a wee bit tense. And just as it looks as though it might go one way or the other, a stranger who's watching intervenes and diffuses the situation. So this lady comes out, stands up from the table, strides across and says, look, surely we can sort out our differences. We don't want any trouble in the Axe and Anvil. Why don't you and your party come over and have a talk to me? I love talking to to travelers. That is part of my business. And we find out that this individual is called Vesta Imther, and she is a trader staying at the inn. She tells us all about herself. She says, I come from the south, from the archipelago in the inland sea. So by her complexion, she has quite a dark, kind of almost Mediterranean complexion. And she looks as though she's been, come from quite a nice, warm climate. She is, I would suppose this would be classified as one of my exotics. She's from the island, one of the island kingdoms. Call it kingdoms, it's more like lordships. And she has decided that she wants to go out and explore the world, and the way that she thinks she's going to exploit all her talents, because she really has got quite a lot of charisma and she's very articulate, is to become a trader. So that's exactly what she does. So she knows many things about what makes this place, Dorowith, survive as a market centre for the Borderlands. And she tells us ad infinitum all about what the economy is and what all the trades are in the place. So by this fortunate intervention by Vesta, who is a very, very nice young lady, she, as I say, she's very articulate, knowledgeable, very intelligent. She really is on point when it comes to anything to do with trade. She really kind of fills in the characters on what the economy is all about. So we'll do a probability thing on the economy and find out exactly what it is. So what I'm saying is, if an exception is rolled, the trade aspect is present but has been severely curtailed and is in decline due to pressures indicated. So ordinarily, I am saying that this town acts as a trade hub, strategically located at the crossroads where independent vale roads meet routes skirting the Empire's influence. Its economy is largely based on facilitating the movement of goods, acting as a vital waypoint for caravans transporting various resources, be it timber, furs, and some local grains, between other vale settlements and cautious traders from imperial lands. And then it goes on, she can explain that the Axe and Anvil, as a prominent wayhouse, is a natural meeting point for merchants and travellers. The town's prosperity is tied to the constant flow of traffic, despite the ever-present threat of imperial interference or the encroaching chaos war disrupting supply lines. So that is the base position. That's what we would have if ordinarily. However, there is an element of chance in this process, and I've got two other options that might come in. So let's find out whether those two other options are brought into play, or we can just go with the vanilla, what the high probability is. So we get a 97. Oh dear. So it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. So we have to invoke the I'm going to say the chaos law, but we've got a different situation. So we have this is the low probability one. So the town's foundation is built upon scarce mineral resources, primarily a rich vein of high quality iron ore or a rare gemstone deposit found in the nearby hills. So we'll decide what those are. While the mining itself is labor intensive and dangerous, the value of the extracted resource is high, drawing skilled prospectors and smiths. The economy centers around the extraction, initial processing, and guarded transport of this valuable raw material. This specialization means the town is highly reliant on its limited geological resource and vulnerable to many external forces, imperial tariffs, or chaos incursions that threatens its access to the mines or its ability to get the precious goods to market. So what I'm saying with this caveat here is that we still have this situation here, but this is less important. So the fact that it's a trade hub, it's now more dominated by the fact that it's got this mining. So it's basically a mining town that acts as a trade hub, but the trade hub influence has reduced. So when it comes to me doing this summary for the town, I'll articulate it into a way that actually makes that sense. So I'll modify this element and I'll promote this, the fact that it is a mineral resource or iron ore. So let's find out whether it's iron ore or gemstones. And we'll just do a 1d6. 1 to 3 it's iron ore, and 4 to 6 it is gem. So it is the iron ore. So it's probably quite a gritty, not a dirty town, but it's it's not a pleasant extraction process. Iron ore is going to be a lot of smelting and that type of stuff. So there's always, the fact that it's called the what is it? The Axe Anvil. Anvil is probably quite appropriate, because you hear the sound of anvils all over the place. So that is serendipity there. That is probably why it's called the Axe Anvil. So we have got an economic situation that we have discerned, and we continue our little chat with her. We have a pleasant time with Vesta, and she calls over. As she's explaining all this stuff about the economy, the fact that there's all this smelting going on, iron ore is a big thing now. They found these mines. They still have quite a lot of business with trade, but she's finding that she's having less things to do now. There's less things to sell. Some of the trade routes are becoming disrupted because of either banditry or there's some of this chaos factor happening. They've even seen creatures like brews out there in the wild. She almost shudders. You can see a visible shudder come across her. And to lighten the mood, she says, "Look, let me call over one of my friends. You're obviously trying to find out some information about the town. You're strangers here. He can maybe fill you in on some of the other things that I don't really know about, because the characters have been making it quite clear that they're very inquisitive and they're curious about what things are going on, what the town's all about, and it seems like everybody that they've been bumping into are quite happy to talk either about their own specialisms, or if they don't know, get someone else in that does. So what Vesta does is she calls over this chap. His name is Valish Himbert, and he knows a great deal about who runs the town, and has some rather vocal political views that he isn't shy in articulating. So this young man comes across. He looks a bit like a firebrand. He's a young official. He works in the market in the market administration area. He's a junior official just now, but he looks quite ambitious and as I say, a bit of a firebrand. He has some vocal political views that he is quite adamant in displaying in public, which is not really the thing. So he'll be pro-authority as a high, a radical as medium, and pro-imperial as a low. So let's find out exactly where his political allegiances lie, or where his political activism is directed. So we get that is 13. So he is pro-authority, so he is vociferously for the status quo, and he is maybe he doesn't like a lot of people that criticize and undermine the administration and the government, and he's very loyal. And he's very vocal about it, and he says all these people that moan or agitate against us, they should be. He's almost quite vociferous and saying they should be expelled or castigated or punished or some. So he's really quite. And I think we start to feel a bit kind of maybe we just get a bit of distance. However, while he is ranting about all this type of stuff, he can give us some insight into what the government is. And I'm just going to go for a straight probability on this. And this might. I think I've only got one other thing I'm going to do this session, but let me see. Yes. Yeah. let's find out what government we are dealing with. So again, it's the high, medium, low probability. So let's find out what Valish tells us about the town and who is governing it, who is the ruler. Is it? It's not going to be a democracy. It's going to be a 48. So it is the high probability. It is a Thane and a council of elders. The town is governed by a Thane, a respected warrior and leader who is advised by a council of elders or clan heads. This council comprises the leaders of the most prominent families or clans within the town, often chosen for their wisdom, martial prowess, or control over significant resources. Decisions are made through robust discussion and often by consensus, with the Thane acting as a chief enforcer and primary diplomat. This structure reflects the independent, tribal, and martial spirit common to many Vale communities facing external threats. So it is quite reflective of the character of the place. The Thane is, he's the man. He has a council of elders to advise him. It sounds like it's quite a nice setup. The Thane, if he sounds like quite a good guy. Maybe that might not be the case when we meet him. However, it's a good start. It could have been a merchant council of guilds and merchant families, so it's far more mercantile. Or the most extreme one out there, I've got a theocracy of high priest, priestess, and divine authority. So that would have been quite mysterious and strange, and it's very, very RuneQuesty, but we didn't go there. So that is the situation with the government. And what I'll do is, again, I will just jot that down here, so we've got that as a recap on the next session. And we find out that if we buy him some more drinks, he may tell us some more and might answer our questions about the touchy subject of the Empire. So he has got a con of 10. So if we roll a con CR, and he's had his third pint, to see if he stays conscious. So let's see if he stays conscious, or he just starts to go into oblivion. So we'll get D20 out. So 10 or less, or he starts to really C double and have a bit of a hard time. So he stays on his feet, so he's ready to tell us all about the Empire. However, our characters are also at risk of some level of inebriation too. So everyone should make a con check or become drunk and useless going forward. This would have been a good time to have Orstan with us. Yes, a dwarf. This is just when you need a dwarf. A bit like Gimli. Although he wasn't fantastic up against Legolas, but then Legolas was an elf, and they seem to be amazing. So I have got, let's find out what all our characters are and what their constitutions are. Now there is the off chance that they all become inebriated, and he has effectively, what's his name? It's, Valish. Valish has drunk them under the table. But let's see. I don't think that's going to happen. So we've got Barntar. He's got a constitution of 11. So let's see if Barntar's drunk. He is. Barntar is inebriated. He can't talk anymore. He falls over. Thump. Ulvar. Let's see if he's inebriated. 11 or less. So is Ulvar drunk? No, he isn't. So he's all right. Ulvar's still on his feet. Maybe he's propping Barntar up. He says, come on, man. Pull yourself together. Call yourself a noble. You soft civilized types. And then we've got Serana and her constitution. Well, she's got off the chart. She's a constitution of 16. Surely she can drink everybody else. She's a bit like that lady in Indiana Jones where she does the drinking contest. She could probably do that. 8, easy. Absolutely no trouble. She's still compos mentis. And then we've got Varlorn, and his constitution's 15, so he's used to this type of drinking stuff as well. So yeah, so it's only Barntar that's got the bit of a softie. He can't take his drink. So Barntar's inebriated. The rest of us are absolutely on point. Let's find out what there is to know about the Empire and its influence in the town of Dorowaith. And really just to give us a bit more insight into the Empire, I'll just go quickly out, zoom out, and say that the Empire not only has conquered territories within its control, but significant influence beyond its borders, and is able to exert various levels of soft power to scare or impress allegiance to the goddess and her divine son, the Emperor. So let's find out what the level of influence is on Dorowaith. Now, the high probability is that Dorowaith is staunchly independent and belligerent in its opposition to the Empire. It will act as a beacon of hope and refuge against what its population sees as imperial overreach across the Great Vale regions. Or will it be something else? So let's find out what is the story. And by this stage, Valish is really quite ranting. he's really having a good time. But let's see if he spits out his drink when we find out what the Imperial Index is. We get a 45, so yes, it is. It is it's good old staunchly independent. So the only thing that we've really had off kilter has been the interesting development that we have iron ore on the site, and the town is quite geared up to that type of industry. It doesn't dominate it, but it is a big thing. So that is an extra dimension, and that is quite a convenient thing with the Axe Anvil. It gives us that authentic feel that some of the credibility of the naming, it didn't just come out of thin air. It must have been the divine intervention of the gods have spoken. So we could have had some rather nasty things with imperial influence. Of late, there's been an increasing cooperation with the Empire in terms of trade and commerce. Some softening of the hostile attitude is being felt by certain groups in the town. So we could have had a bit of factionalism, and that would have been disruptive. The Empire has shown aggressive intent in some recent provocative actions by siting border forts along the region's perimeter with the imperial lands. So they're really being quite aggressive, and it's coming right up to the border and putting some forts up. So we might have actually, if we go out and do some adventuring in the borderlands, there's a good chance that we would come across some Selenic patrols, and probably with evil intent. So a bit of an escape there. So I will just get to my little chart and show you what's left. So we've done today, we've done economy, we've done authority, we've done imperial influence. So we've only got cults to do and find out. So we're probably pretty well through, certainly for Barntar, his night is over. The rest of us, we feel quite still in the game. Orstan, you never know, he might just turn up just in the nick of time and find out all about the religious practices going on in the town. I've got a feeling that he will, because I'll probably by that stage I've done his character sheet and I'll have it all ready to go. And he'll be primed and ready, and he's thinking, I need to do a bit of catching up with all this drink. It seems to be and remember this, it has a reputation, the Axe Anvil, for the quality of its beer, the fact that it's very strong. So maybe the characters should just play it a bit more canny, and not be lured into a false sense of security, and have too many. Okay, well, I think that's enough for today. Look forward to having you join me next time. Thanks for watching.